For over 15 years, Saturdays and A Legal Curve have been synonymous with one another. With insight, analysis, and interviews regarding the Winnipeg Jets, the Manitoba Moose, and all around the NHL, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mindell. The A Legal Curve Hockey Show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Alrighty, here we go. Hockey Day in Canada. It's a big one. The Jets and the Leafs later tonight in downtown Winnipeg. Always an exciting adventure when the home barn is half Jets fans, or let's say, let's be a little more optimistic, 60% Jets fans, 40% opposition fans. I don't want to say it's a clean, even split. It's probably not, but it'll be a barn burner, a great atmosphere. It'll be fun tonight in downtown Winnipeg, just like it's going to be fun this morning here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. And with that in mind, join me in saying good morning, Winnipeg. Good morning, Manitoba. And for all those joining us this morning on all of our social media platforms, we say good morning, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve Hockey Show with Ezra Ginsburg. I am your host, Drew Mindell. Dave Manouk worked for a week and is now, of course, back on vacation as per his contractual terms. But nonetheless, Ezzy and I will be here for the next 2 hours, all about the Winnipeg Jets, all about the Jets and the Leafs tonight. Lots to discuss, lots to delve into. It is going to be a fun Saturday morning. With in mind, I say good morning to my colleague, my brother-in-arms, the clean-shaven Ezra Ginsburg.
Yeah, well, is this clean shaven? Because it's not. You can see I've still got.
For you,
some,
it's clean shaven.
Yeah, for me it is. As you know, Drew, I don't really often go clean shaven. Like maybe once a year, maybe once every couple years, I'll do clean shaven.
Show off that baby face.
Yeah, exactly. I almost do it more for the shock value, just so I can actually feel the skin on my face.
Yeah.
But yeah, great to be here. I mean, what's better than having the Jets and the Leafs on a Saturday night of Hockey Day in Canada? As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't get any better than that. So lots to talk about. Jets obviously riding a 4-game winning streak. I'm not going to call it a heater because I see Stacy's in the chat. Stacy said last game, 4 games is not a heater.
You're gonna get yelled at otherwise.
Yeah, so that's why we were trying to define, like, is it 5 games in a row or what is a heater? But I'm gonna assume that Stacy will be calling it a heater if the Jets are able to beat the Leafs and it goes to 5 games in a row. So it's definitely an interesting place that the Jets are in right now, Drew, because a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the Jets possibly making some moves, to get in front of the pack prior to the trade deadline, and now you have to think that the Jets management group is looking at this team and thinking, well, what if we string another 4 wins together and get within 3 or 4 points of a playoff spot, and maybe we're actually going to be sellers. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. This next stretch is really crucial to determine if the Jets are going to be back into the playoff race. Right. If we want to, I guess we're not saying that they're in the playoff race now because they're a little bit.
No, they're still too far behind. There's still too many teams between them. 8 points out of a playoff spot, but as 8 points, and we all know in this day and age in the NHL is a lot of points because of the proliferation of 3-point games. Also, the Jets have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 teams between the Jets and the San Jose Sharks who currently hold down the second playoff spot in the Western Conference.
Well, and I was watching that Predators Avalanche game last night.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan O'Reilly had a hat trick, and
revenge against his old team.
Absolutely, and the Predators are only 1 point back. They're 7-3 in their last 10. The Predators are the team that I would be scared about. Nobody seems to be talking about them, just because I don't know if it's a carryover from last year, how bad they were, but the Predators are a team that, I mean, if you're the Utah, if you're San Jose, I think you got to be worried about right now when you have, guys like Stamkos and O'Reilly and Forsberg playing like their old selves. I think that's a problem for them.
No question. I mean, they've come out of nowhere to, everyone expected, is there going to be a coaching change? Is Andrew Brunette on his way out there? What's going to happen? Who's getting traded? And all of a sudden, to your point there, Ezzy, they are, knocking on the door of the playoffs next to San Jose and Utah, which just goes to show you again that it is very bunched up in the West, much like it is, at the East as well. So time will tell on that front. But you mentioned that you're into a stretch here where the Jets are going to, this is going to sort of determine the Jets' path. And I would agree with that. Obviously, tonight you got the Leafs, then you got that You go out Monday to the Taves return game in Chicago, which definitely will be an emotional game and will be a bit of an eye-popping experience, undoubtedly, on Monday night. But really, where you're the Winnipeg Jets now, you're talking about you have 8 games left in the month of January, those 2 games in that first week of February. So you got 10 games left before you make the determination as to what you're going to do, what approach you're going to take vis-a-vis a trade deadline. This is now the Jets' opportunity. They've won the 4 in a row, as we've documented here. Now, 4 wins in a row is a nice thing to have happen, but after you lose 11 in a row, it's just 1/3 of the way to equaling the losses that you previously just had. But you have 10 in a row, so the next 10 games are going to be what, in my estimation, determines the Jets' course of action. And by the by, these are not necessarily a very easy 10 games ahead of you. Now, you went to Minnesota on Thursday and you walloped the Wild, which is impressive given where Minnesota has been this year. You got the Leafs tonight at home. We know Toronto is back in a playoff spot, on the cusp of a playoff spot in the wild card. They've turned their season around. You remember, wasn't that long ago that they were significantly struggling, and job security of Craig Berube was certainly becoming more and more of a conversation. You got the Blues and you got the Blackhawks Monday, Tuesday. Neither of those teams are playoff teams, but they are ahead of you in the standings. So those 2 games are sort of must-win, 2 clean points sort of games.
For sure.
Tuesday. You can't be taking you can't be giving up 1 point in those games. You need the clean 2 points against those 2 teams if you consider yourself playoff caliber. And then it really gets, then the last 5 games of the month really pick up in difficulty. You got the Panthers at home next Thursday. We're going to be at City Place next Thursday afternoon for a special noon-hour edition of the Illegal Curve hockey show. I know that the Panthers aren't in a playoff spot. I get that. But these are still the Florida Panthers, Ezzy. I mean, push comes to shove, I still can't imagine them, with the litany of injuries, not being a playoff team at season's end. I mean, that's just where I think they are. You have them twice between now and the end of January.
Yeah. Well, and the Panthers, I believe, are 5 points back. So I agree with you that it seems ridiculous that to not have the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions in the playoffs.
Right.
But they're in a dogfight. Like, they're in a similar position to some of the teams we talked about in the West, right? Like Chicago, St. Louis, that are kind of around 4 or 5 points back of a playoff spot. But you're right. Like, the Jets have the ability, by the way, not only to string together some wins and get back into a playoff spot, but they have the ability to play a spoiler for some other teams, right? Like you mentioned, Chicago, St. Louis, those are teams that you're chasing right now. Florida, they're chasing other teams for that Eastern Conference wildcard spot. They've got, I agree with you, they've got towards the end of the month, then they've got Tampa Bay, but they've already beat the Devil. So I look at a lot of these games, like I look at these 10 games coming up, and like, why can't the Jets go 7-3, right? Like, why can't they go 6-3-1? You've got Dallas and Montreal before the Olympic break, right? So those are, as you mentioned, it's going to get harder and harder in this next 10-game segment, Drew. But I look at this schedule, and even though I think, the tough games are at the end, why can't this Jets team, go?
Well, the Jets
like
team
I said, but the problem is if they go 7-3, does that do like the thing is really to get into a playoff spot, you really have to go something like 8-2, right? Or 9-1, right? Look, we just saw what the Sabres did. The Sabres had, what are they, 14-2, I believe, in their last 16 games. They are now just in a wild card spot. It's not like the Sabres have like separated themselves that much from the teams that are chasing them. They're just barely in a playoff spot, right? So, I mean, you could argue that, 7-3 might not be good enough, but what I'm saying is a lot of these teams are non-playoff teams. So they're like, when you're talking about the Hawks or the Blues or the Panthers, like the Devils.
They're not currently in a playoff spot. Yeah.
Right. That's what I meant. They're not currently in a playoff spot. So I look at these teams, and yes, Florida's always going to be tough. Florida's never going to be an easy game. None of these games are going to be easy, but they are winnable games. And especially if the Jets play the way they did against Minnesota, or the way they did for the majority of the game against the Islanders, I mean, they can be successful. But I think, the question then becomes, Drew, like we've talked about for kind of weeks now, if you're going into the Olympic break, or you're coming out of the Olympic break and you're still 3 or 4 points out of a playoff spot, what are you doing? Like, I don't think you can really start selling off a lot of assets if you're that close, and that's not the best position to be in.
I disagree. I think at this point in time, you're selling. You have to. So, I mean, that leads to where we wanted to talk about today, which I know has been a hot topic. Our buddy Kenny Weeb wrote about it in today's Winnipeg Free Press. I know that it's been our friends at Winnipeg Sports Talk have been discussing it, and that is, the question of Logan Stanley. And Logan Stanley is having an incredible season by Logan Stanley standards. So, that is point number one, is that kudos to him for even making this a topic of conversation. But we also know that he is a pending unrestricted free agent at season's end, playing a third pairing role on the left side for the Winnipeg Jets, a role that, for those who would be in the re-sign Stanley camp, that's the role that he's going to have for the remainder of his that's the role for him moving forward. He's not going to surpass Dylan Samberg. He's not going to surpass Josh Morrissey in terms of role on this Winnipeg Jets team.
Did you say Josh Morrissey there or Josh Norrisey?
You could say both. Both names would apply, and we know who we're talking about in both cases.
I thought I heard Norrisey. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Okay, I said Morrissey, but I appreciate that, and nonetheless. To me, look, the Logan Stanley situation is a very nice story. It's great. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. When he unleashed that howitzer on Thursday night in Minnesota, back scratched it with his blade and then went top corner. I was like, wow, that is, this is a guy who's feeling it right now. That said, in my mind, and Ezzy, I want your opinion on this as well, you're trading Logan Stanley at the deadline.
I am?
Not you, Kevin Cheveldayoff, the Jets management. They are trading Logan Stanley at the deadline. The idea,
is that an assertion or is that a prediction?
That is what I would do if I was in their position. You have to be able to sort of look underneath the numbers to realize that Logan Stanley is on an incredible heater. He's been a huge asset for your team this year. And now when the opportunity strikes, you need to cash in and get back for him a second round pick. If it's more than that, mind-blowing emoji out of my head right now, folks. But you need to cash in your chips on Logan Stanley because he's currently shooting upwards of around 16% this season. That's his shooting percentage. And by the way, historically, his shooting percentage is closer to 2%. So this is not going to be...
What you're saying is there might be a regression.
There's going to be a regression. There isn't. This is not going to be Logan Stanley for the future, for quite possibly, continuing on this year after the Christmas break. You need to trade Logan Stanley as soon as you get the offer you want for him, be that a second round pick, a first round pick, if that is something that somebody steps up with. If there's a demand for Logan Stanley, if somebody is going to look at the numbers, sort of ignore the warts and focus on the positives, you need to trade him, recoup some value, get some draft picks. You don't have a second round pick, remember, this year. You need to do something in order to cash in on the success of Logan Stanley.
It's almost like, Drew, he has priced himself out of Winnipeg as a third pairing defenseman. That's almost what's happened here, if you think about it, right? Because if Logan Stanley's making $2 million, maybe $2.5 million as a third pairing defenseman, that's fine. That's kind of a normal salary for a guy that's playing bottom pairing minutes, third pairing minutes, right? Yeah. But because he's got 8 goals and 15 points, and he's big and he fights and he's physical and he's developed a reputation around the league. And let's not forget, like, Logan Stanley is not a 23-year-old defenseman anymore. He's 27 years old now. Yeah. So now this is his opportunity for a big contract, right? Chris Johnston, I believe it was the one who threw out the $25 million 5-year deal. And honestly, the more points he gets, it seems less and less realistic, right? Like, if you would have said $25 million a year ago, people would have said you're absolutely crazy.
People
for
would have
Logan Stanley.
People would have hauled CJ off to the loony bin. They would, a team would have immediately showed up to Chris Johnson's house, put him in a white straitjacket, and dropped him off somewhere else, and said, "This man is in need of some serious help."
No, absolutely, Drew. But you watch Stanley last game, and the goal he scores against Minnesota. I mean, how many big 6'7" defensemen can come in off the point and rip a slapper like that, right? So teams are paying attention. And just going back to what you said before, whether the Jets should sign him or trade him, it's I kind of go back and forth. I'll be honest with you. Like, I think all the points that you made for trading him are valid, right? Like, you have the opportunity to. I don't know if you can get a first-round pick for Logan Stanley, but I think a second-round pick is probably right now, realistic.
The way he's playing. And teams will be enamored of Logan Stanley based on his physical attributes. And to his credit, I think he's a player who is now better understanding his physical attributes. He's grown into his body. He understands how to sort of use his body as an asset and, know where he knows how he has to position himself and play himself to be at his best. That comes with muscle memory. That comes with 250 games of NHL experience, which is where he's at game number 247 is what he's played so far at the NHL level. So he's a guy who is beginning to better understand how to be the best version of Logan Stanley. But at the same time, look at his metrics. Look at some of the underlying numbers here.
Right.
And he still gives up a lot more when he's on the ice defensively than he produces offensively. So we shouldn't be, as a general rule, we should be smart as a fan base, as player evaluation, player evaluators, pardon me. We should be able to look beyond the raw numbers and some of the fun highlight reel plays to properly evaluate a player. And the proper evaluation of Logan Stanley this year, despite all the goals, despite the fun chants at the downtown barn, he still gives up more when he's on the ice than when he's off the ice. He still gives up more defensively than he produces offensively.
He's a third pairing defenseman, Drew. Like, that's. And, there's even an argument that he's maybe an average third pairing defenseman, not necessarily an above average third pairing defenseman, but he does provide things that a lot of other players can't. And I'm not just talking about size. That's not all that I'm talking about. It's, let's pretend for a second Logan Stanley is 6'3" instead of 6'7". He still has the big shot. Obviously, some people will say that doesn't make any sense. But what I'm trying to say is, like, what he does is regardless of his size, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he obviously is 6'7", so maybe I'm not making sense here, pretending he's not 6'7". But what I'm trying to say is, like, I think it's not just his size that's appealing to other teams. And I was going to throw something out there, Drew, because obviously that last point didn't make much sense, so I'll try to recover here. But what if the Jets sign him to a shorter term deal? Like, a lot of people seem to be, fixated on this 4 or 5 years.
Why would he sign that, though?
Well, I'm just saying, what if he was willing to sign it? I don't know if he would be.
So let's talk about the reason.
Let's say you sign him to a 2-year deal, and Kenny mentioned this in his article.
Right.
I mean, the Jets happen to have two upcoming Swedish defensemen who aren't going to be ready next year, but a couple of years from now, Sasha Boumedienne, Alphonse Frey, like, they're going to be ready. So I don't think you look if you're signing Stanley to a 5-year contract, I think that's a huge mistake if you're the Jets. But if you sign him to a couple years, maybe $4 million a year.
But I'll tell you here's my counter to that. One, why would Stanley sign that contract? He would not sign it.
He wouldn't if he thinks he can get 5 years and $25 million from other teams.
Right. So there's no reason for him to sign that contract before free agency. There's no given the season that he's had, given the success that he's had this season, there's no reason for him to not want to explore what the market has to bear at this point in time. To your point, this is his best opportunity to ever cash in on a big dollar deal at the NHL level. This is going to be his big contract. whether it's, you know, $5 million a year, whether it's $6 million a year, whether it's $4 million a year, don't know the answer to that. Time will obviously tell on that front. But if you're Logan Stanley and you're Logan Stanley's representatives, if the Jets present him with a contract offer that is anything but, I would say, over what you expect the market value to be, there's no reason to sign it. Right. Because you wait till July 1st, you wait to free agency, you open up the doors to all the various buyers. We know that free agency can be, can result in some outlandish contracts from bad general managers or desperate general managers. There's no reason to sign it from Logan Stanley's perspective. From the Jets' perspective, and I know that people have been saying this as well, so equal time to them as well, is that the Jets don't have a ready-made third pairing left side option to step in.
Yeah, but you can acquire those types of guys.
I would agree.
Via free agency. Like, those are the types of players, like the Derek Forborts, those types of players, right? Like the Jets have acquired. Look, we're not. It's not when you're talking about the Jets' inability to sign free agents. We're not talking about their inability to sign third and fourth line guys and third pairing defensemen. I mean, those are guys that every team, including the Jets, can sign. Right. So I don't think that, like to your point, Drew, I think it's more so.
You also have Hayden Fleury still under contract for next year.
Hayden Fleury, right? And you can also get a guy for $1.5 million or $2 million. Sign a guy to a PTO and he fills the role. And like, there's those guys. There's plenty of jobs available, right? For a third pairing defenseman. Is what I would say for that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think what's the most interesting thing about this is if you're the Jets, like and Chevy, I wonder if Chevy's weighing, like, we obviously don't know. We're not in the room. We don't talk to Chevy regularly about this. I've tried, but he blocked my number. But when you're talking about,
for that matter.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of people have blocked my number. I'm very annoying, Drew, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're the Jets, like, you just saw Nikolai Ehlers leave for nothing. And I'm not comparing Nikolai Ehlers to Logan Stanley, but if you're the Jets and there's a good chance you're going to miss the playoffs, which there is this year, I still think the Jets have a small chance of making the playoffs. But let's be realistic here, guys. The Jets could miss the playoffs this year where they currently stand. And depending on what happens over these next 10 games, like we talked about before the Olympic break. But if you're the Jets, do you want to lose him for absolutely nothing when you could have got a high draft pick? That's where I think it's really fascinating. And by the way, if Stanley is traded, I don't think it's going to happen until after the Olympic break. That's just my own opinion.
I would agree with that. I think Kevin Cheveldayoff is going to give the Jets, current roster, the next, 11 games before the break. I think he's going to give
10 games before the break.
10 games before the break. He's going to give them every opportunity to prove to him that he shouldn't be a seller at the deadline, that he should be a buyer or should be, something other than an obvious seller. I would think that he's going to give the Jets' current roster that many opportunities to do that. But I can't help but looking at the Jets draft picks over the next 2 seasons. And let's welcome to the program Jamie Thomas, so we'll keep the conversation going. Good morning, Jamie. Sorry, I didn't know if you were. Sorry, you weren't ready. I'll get you.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Geez, Jamie, Drew could have given you 30 seconds there.
I thought I saw your handsome face.
He's like, I get really tired of talking to just Ezzy, so I gotta bring him in early. Because you know why you did this? Because I'm never early for your show. That's why.
I was a little surprised, I'll be honest, but I also know that you're at the arena, as you can tell, because you got obviously the morning skate's going to get underway in a few minutes, and then you got double duty. We appreciate you jumping on because, as your name says there, the true host of Check-In. I won't tell Sarah that you said that, but I know that you and Sarah have a lot of work ahead of you today as well.
Can you, like, every year that I work here and every time that she's worked here, I don't realize. Is there anybody else that she doesn't know? Like that the whole city knows who she is. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
We do the season ticket holder. They come in here, they walk around, they do the studio tour and everything like that. On top of going to the dressing room and everything. Your mom taught me in grade. I know. Like, oh my God, it's like ridiculous. And they're like, who are you? Every single time. So, anyways, enough about my problems.
That's okay. What we were saying, we've been discussing the 10 games before the break, before they all go away for the Olympics, and sort of this is a 10-game opportunity. This next 10-game stretch, now that they've won 4 in a row, is an opportunity for the players to really sort of chart their own path vis-a-vis the trade deadline, vis-a-vis futures of unrestricted free agents on this team. We were talking specifically about Logan Stanley, and I'm on the side where I think that the Jets, he has built up his trade capital so much this year that there's going to be a significant market for him, and the Jets need to capitalize on that. And we were exploring all the different options. But as I was saying, I look at the draft picks for the next number of years for the Winnipeg Jets, and I can't help but look at 2026 and 2027, nothing in the second round, and 2026, 2027, nothing in the fourth round. And boy, that the Jets would like to backfill those four missing draft picks to try and keep building the future Winnipeg Jets roster, I would say.
Yeah, and I think Kevin Cheveldayoff kind of alluded to that about how they were paying some of the prices of the price of going for Stanley Cups, right? And for a true draft and develop organization, these are the things that have to be weighed. And I always wondered what the conversations would be like between the amateur scouts and the pro scouts and the wars that must go on. I'm not saying there are, but both sides are valid. If you have an opportunity to win a Stanley Cup, you sometimes have to sacrifice the future for the immediate moment. But the fact the Jets have kind of been in this ability to win a Stanley Cup has kind of cost their future a little bit. Now, we're seeing some benefits, certainly with Danny Zhilkin showing that he can play at the NHL level, right? Which is a pleasant surprise, because I don't think you could have said that at the beginning or at this point last year. Sure. Something has clicked with him. And that's a true testament to the coaching staff of the Manitoba Moose figuring out a way to, get through to him and find a way for him to be successful. And, Mark Morrison and company have to be given a lot of credit for getting that, because he has not looked out of place at all. And the fact that he was killing penalties, that is the ultimate pat in the back that we trust you so much, because that's not an easy thing to do at the National Hockey League level, especially for a guy in his first about his second game in the National Hockey League. So I think a true testament of the development and growth of Danny Zhilkin says a lot. So you look at that and you're like, okay, if they had a few more younger players come through the system, voila, Elias Salamonson is showing that he can play at the NHL level. You wonder now, you've seen Thomas Milic and, of course, Dominic DiVincentis. At what point are you saying either one of those guys is going to back up Connor Hellebuck? Because that door has to open pretty soon. You can't keep both of them down there. And, of course, you have to keep drafting more goaltenders down the road here. And I think that, you just talked about the fact that they don't have their second and fourth over the next two drafts. At some point, you have to stock the cupboards. What that looks like, I don't know. And I find it very interesting. If there was ever a time, I mean, we just talked about Danny Zhilkin, but where he was a year ago, could you imagine this conversation we're having about Logan Stanley and the value that he has a year ago at this time? Because he was not everybody's favorite defenseman at this time of year last year, right? I've always said that every NHL team has a defenseman that every fan can't stand. It's just, it is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. Every fan base can't stand one defenseman.
Jamie, it's the Stefan Robidas effect.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Robidas Island.
Yeah, I was trying to think of I've been asking many times, like when Jets first came here, who that guy was. Like I'm always curious about who that person is.
Johnny Oduya? Would you say Johnny Oduya maybe? Back free pizzas with Claude Noel back then?
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, the free pizza. That's right. See, you guys know because you were here.
Well, remember Larry Murphy? Was it Larry Murphy got run out of Toronto and then went to Detroit and became a
champion? Turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah,
when he went to Detroit. So and then was a part of he played for that team that played in the Canada Cup that won the Canada Cup in dramatic fashion. I mean, what do the Leafs know anyways in the whole scheme of things? So I mean, right now, yes, Logan Stanley's trade value is sky high, but could you imagine this city right now if you dealt him out of here? And I will always stand by. And listen, that's when you do trade people, when their value is at their highest. And I even had a friend tell me one time when things were bad, when it was like 10 games in a row, someone said to me, listen, what about trading Josh Morrissey? And I'm like, whoa. No. Oh, but you think of the return you can get.
Don't touch my Josh Morrissey.
I know, exactly. Just like don't touch my third line. It's just like there's certain people you just don't touch. But could you imagine their trade value, return value for a guy like Josh Morrissey? So I'm glad that we don't even have to table that discussion. It is, to your point, Drew, it is probably the best time to do it.
because the way he's playing right now is lights out. Like that shot he took is a guy that is at his highest confidence level ever. And the post game reaction from Mark Scheifele and certainly from Logan Stanley afterwards in the game in Minnesota was classic. It just Mark Scheifele and Logan Stanley have been working together in the offseason for a very long time now. Two Ontario guys. It makes you wonder what that could be if you are you have to decide very soon here, probably before we're at the Olympic break. What are you going to do? Are you going to go for it again and things are going well, or are you going to look towards the future and hopefully stock the cupboards with some draft picks? Because as we've already talked about, it is a draft and develop organization, and you have to start getting. It's great to hit on your picks, but if you don't have many, it makes it a whole lot harder to do so.
Jamie, you mentioned the 6-2 win over Minnesota, and I realize that some people don't want to call it a statement win, but I'm going to call it a statement win because no Neil Pionk. You're on the road against a Wild team that's been. They've been a little bit up and down lately, even though they're pretty solidly in third there in the Central. But that's a big win, and especially considering that it was obviously a bit of a slow start for the Jets. What in your opinion can a win like this do? Because right now, I think you'd agree the focus is just win one game at a time, right? Like you don't want to, a lot of fans, like we're obviously talking about Logan Stanley, other players that the Jets could trade, but I mean we're a long way away from the trade deadline. There's a lot of games coming up, 10 before the Olympic break. So there's a lot of room that the Jets can make up. But just how impressive was that win, and what do you think that can do for the Jets over the stretch of these next games before the Olympics?
I'm sure you guys felt the same way that I did when you were watching that game. Like, how many times have we seen the Jets go into Minnesota and like the first 10 minutes, it's like unbelievable. I'm like, they're dead. They're so dead. And then you watch Connor Hellebuck do what he does, and I'm like, okay, I've seen this story before. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but didn't he make like 40-something saves? And the Jets had no business winning that game. But to the Jets' credit, after that initial 10 minutes, they get that power play, the 5-on-3, and they score, and then it was their game. So I'm with you. I don't think I understand why players and coaches don't want to call it a statement game, because that's saying you were in a bad place or you're not a very good team. I just think it is. You walk into a place, the third best team in the National Hockey League, it's the third best defensive team in the NHL, and you made them look ridiculous. Like it was after it looked like they were playing with, it was playtime for a while there. So full credit to them. It is something they can build off of, and it just seems like over this, and we have to think too, and I think this is a big reason why the fans didn't turn on the Jets, is all those 1-goal losses. And yes, it was frustrating to watch. And it was hard to see.
They turned on Drew for the record, though. They didn't turn on the Jets, but they did turn on Drew.
Doesn't take much for people to turn on me, though. I'm
right.
I'm quite
because it's your fault. Yeah. It's always your fault, right? So it's just
everything's my fault.
Yeah. It's just like, look at your face. It's your fault.
I'm kidding. I love you, Drew.
So face comment was a little harsh there. I got to tell you, Jamie. I've been across the line a little bit. I'd like to think I'm borderline handsome, maybe, but holy. Looks like it's back to the Botox machine for me.
Yeah. I hope you have those gift certificates from Christmas for the Botox place. But we have kids, Drew, so it happens.
Jamie, I'm just imagining Drew like with like Botox lips right now, and it's really it's really scaring me. I'll be honest with you.
Those nice and puffy there. That's what we all want.
Suddenly the beard isn't the thing that draws attention. Is
we just want my face to be frozen and never move moving forward. Like Billy Crystal. Have you ever seen Billy Crystal nowadays? He just can't move his face.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
Billy Crystal got into the Botox.
Oh yeah, the last time he hosted the Oscars, it was sad. He just looked like rubber.
Yeah. Would you, if you're gonna do this is completely going off the rails here, but if you're gonna do Botox, wouldn't you like cut back a little bit so your face moves so it's not so obvious that you did the Botox? Like, isn't the people that are pumping your face full of it going, if we give you this much, your face will not move, so it'll be very obvious about what you're doing. So, but I'm not in Hollywood. I don't have to worry about these things.
I mean, I would think less is more. It would be a good rule of thumb. Yes.
Yeah. I told my kids, I'm just going like, Dad, you can never dye your hair. I'm like, no, it's just the way. This is how God wants you. This is what happens, man.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jamie. Embrace the gray hairs.
Yeah, I know. We look distinguished. That's what it is.
Exactly. Gray is little salt and pepper.
Exactly. That's an educated man who's got some gray in his hair.
Right. Look at all the things he's gone through in his life. If you have just so dark hair, like what does he experience? Nothing. And your face doesn't move.
Astute. He's an intellectual, obviously.
Right.
Wow.
This conversation's become very intellectual. I gotta say.
Okay, Jamie, back to the Botox.
What were we talking about again? Oh, the statement win. Right. Anyways, it's just something you can build off of. But I think of all the games they went into and they were losing 1-goal games. That's why the fan base didn't turn on them, in my opinion. It's just like I could understand. I know there's a lot of vitriol out there. A lot of people are frustrated, but at the same time, they were still in the games. Now that play that was helping them hang into games like that, now confidence is kicked in. So you blow the lead against the Islanders. If that would have happened a week before that, probably not going to be as good as a result. But now that confidence has kicked in and it's all went into Minnesota, you've won there before. Your goaltender holds you in for a bit. You're like, okay, this looks familiar. Let's move on from there. And then just everything started to work. So hopefully there's some, not so much anger, but some memories going back to the game in Toronto when you had complete control of that hockey game. And then what did Gabe Velarde, or what did Scott O'Neill call it? River hockey or pond hockey or something like that. You stay away from the pond hockey and try to continue this win streak against a very good hockey team in a building that's going to be very annoyingly half full of Leaf fans.
No, we didn't say half full. We said at the outset of the show, we gave the benefit of the doubt to the Jets fans.
55%. Yeah.
60% Jets fans, 40% Leafs fans is what
50.1% Jet fans. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Jamie Thomas, our guest this morning on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, presented by our friends at Play Now. Jamie, through January, which has been 8 games so far, the Jets have 33 goals scored.
Yep.
That is a good average of goals per game scored. I don't know if you need to be a math whiz to know that, but that's pretty good. If you go back to the entire month of December, the Jets had 32 goals scored in 14 games. I mean, what can you chalk up the difference in the prolific goal scoring to? We know that they've been crashing the net like
that's it.
Bosses over the last week or so. And is it just that simple? They're getting to the dirty areas and doing the hard work.
That's the funny part is I'm sure every coach in their lifetime just go to the net, and we hear them say this all the time, but it's funny how people just don't do it. And it is like that Islander game, every single goal was either traffic or just guys going to the net. And the fact that Kyle Connor was in the greasy area in front of the net and pickpockets Matthew Barzal, lifts his stick and puts the puck in the empty net. I'm like, okay, they're onto something here. And then all the screenshots, Sorokin was coming in as the Vezina Trophy candidate or leader, I think, at that point, and you put 5 goals past him. And then we go into Minnesota, and the same thing happens. You put 6 on one of the best goalies in the league, best young goaltenders in the league. So
the wall in St. Paul, as I saw Mike McIntyre refer to him.
Right. And that's funny how that all changes right now. Oh, look, don't tell Sarah. Sarah's here. Don't tell her I said I'm the true host of Check-In.
She can see it on the screen.
Right. Yeah, I know. She's looking right now and laughing. Yeah.
Hi, Sarah. Good morning.
Hold on.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. We put Jamie in his place and made sure that he knows that he's not, in fact, the reason anybody watches the
Check-In.
Well,
you weren't here to put up a battle.
Seen eventually. I watch Illegal Curve.
She does. Yes. She uses you guys. You guys have been in Runway yet? Anybody?
No.
Their voices?
Oh, maybe Dave. Dave would, probably Dave would maybe would be a candidate for that. But Dave barely shows up for work anymore, so we don't know.
I mean, I can't help but notice that. I got to discuss that with him.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't you have a show to do Saturday mornings?
That's right. That's what we're going to say to him from now on. We
right.
want the opening for Illegal Curve to just be Drew, Ezzy, and then and sometimes Dave.
Perfect. I love it. We can get that. We can probably get that recorded.
But make sure ... goes in there.
Okay, I'll let you guys get back to it.
Good morning.
Bench interview. See you later.
No, Sarah, come back.
Jamie, you're out. Sarah, you're in.
That's right. First time ever somebody's been moved out of their slot in the show.
That's right. Yeah. You've been bumped. No, that's not true. We bumped somebody. Who did we bump for when Laine got traded? We bumped somebody when Laine got traded.
Like, were they on the game, like on the show, and you guys moved them out?
No, Sarah was on with us when Laine got traded, and then there was whoever was supposed to come after. We sent them a message and said, "Sorry, we've had breaking news."
Actually, Jamie. In fact, Sarah will. I don't know if Sarah's still there, but Sarah will remember this. But because that was the Laine Dubois trade, that was what, 4 years ago now?
Yeah.
Something about like
that.
Yeah.
Sarah was getting her hair done. In fact, Sarah was getting her hair done, and then she did Illegal Curve, and then Laine got traded.
Literally, She had the excuse. I have to do. Wasn't that the one with girls? I have to wash my hair.
I
Isn't
have
that
to wash
one?
my hair. Yeah. All the reasons I never got dates is because there's a lot of hair washing happening.
I know.
But
I just assume all girls wash their hair 4 times a day,
Jamie.
Jamie.
What's that, Ezzy?
I said I just assume all girls wash their hair 4 times a day.
Yeah,
because I got that line a lot too.
The shampoo industry must be making so much money right now. That's what I thought a lot in high school. It's like, there's a lot of hair washing going on. Then you start feeling bad about yourself not washing your hair. Should I wash my hair more? I don't know.
Maybe that's my problem is I haven't washed my hair enough.
Oh wow.
Yeah, now we're fine. Now we're on to something, and then it was like scientists say, if you wash your hair more, you keep it. I don't know.
I hope there's no scientist watching our show except for Dr. Haleko. That's the only scientist that watches this show.
Listen,
Dr. Buenafé as well.
There's a lot of science on social media. You guys should know this by now.
Right. Yeah, junk science, I believe.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, a lot of smart people out there.
Okay, back on the rails. The offense, just crashing the net. Just keep doing that, and you'll be fine.
I'm pretty sure that should be the elixir that they have to continue using. And another thing too is just like the secondary scoring. Jonathan Toews, flat out. I don't want to give too much credit, but whatever happened during the Christmas break, probably being able to breathe and having 5 seconds to rest the tired body played a large role in this. But his game is, I don't think it can be sold enough about how good he's been. And then now you have a 2C, because that was clearly one of the biggest issues, not having a 2C. What has this organization been trying to do since Brian Little retired or had his retirement papers handed to him early because of the injury that he went through? That's what they've been trying to find, is a second centerman. And hopefully this keeps going, because, man, it has been fun to watch. Like, it's a great story. I think when he first came in, I had high expectations. I think his resume obviously kind of glazed over a lot of things that, we really should have been looking at. Not playing for 2 years, getting used to the hectic schedule coming in an Olympic year. Now it's all starting to come together. And hopefully he gets around that, 45 to 50 point range. And then I think you're going to be okay.
Well, to that point, sorry, Ezzy, let me just jump in there. To the point about Toews and him looking far more comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, are we not giving enough credit, or, when I say we, I mean sort of just analysts and the public itself, the Jets public, to just how important and valuable Gabe Vilardi has turned out to be as a play drive. I mean, he was always the third wheel on Connor and Scheifele and Vilardi.
Yes.
And now Vilardi on his own with that Toews and Perfetti line is showing that he really, the way he's playing, he is the driving force behind the success of a Winnipeg Jets second line that to this point had been absent for the season thus far.
Well, what was the biggest conversation? You got to separate Scheifele and Connor, and lo and behold, you didn't have to.
Right.
It was just Gabe Vilardi. Cole Perfetti has to be given some credit too, right? It's just like all these things are coming in a lot. I forgot this a lot too. I've never had a high ankle sprain. I don't even know the slightest clue about what it's like to have one. And Perfetti did point that out again the other day, that he's feeling more like himself. So, but Cole Perfetti was successful because he had a driver on that second line, and that was Nikolai Ehlers. Sure. Now, as you just said, now it's Gabe Vilardi driving the line too. So it's so important, obviously, to have depth scoring. And we talked about it. And then you guys probably got so sick and tired of talking about it on your show on Saturday. Where is the secondary scoring? Now it's here. And the Jets are reaping the benefits of a team that looks like has all of a sudden again has depth.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you about Elias Salamonson. I think I'm saying his name right, because we were calling him Elias.
Oh my gosh, Elias, like it just like
Elias.
These guys have to be asked before they get drafted the full pronunciation
and they're not allowed to change after.
You are not allowed to change at this moment. When you get into the NHL, this is how we're going to say your name, and that we need you to do this. But anyways.
Well, remember what happened with Joel Armia and Yoel Armia, and then apparently he's back to Joel Armia.
Oh, is he?
But I don't know how you would go back. I don't know. Maybe Dave just
can go Joel or Yoel, if that is your real name. The next time he's in town with the Canadians,
Prince. He'll go from Prince to the symbol to back to the artist.
Oh, wait, he's not in Montreal. Is he in Montreal? I forget now.
LA.
Thank you. Right. Yeah.
But he was in Montreal for many years.
Yes.
But yeah, Jamie Salamonson. I mean, obviously one game, so we're not going to get too ahead of ourselves. It's only a single game, but not an easy position for him to come into, right? Like we talked about the kind of the optics of that Jets Wild game. there's a lot on the line. Jets are obviously trying to get as many wins as they can here, but he plays, I don't know the exact number. It was around 18 and a half minutes. And so it's not like he comes in and he's sheltered and he only plays 9 or 10 minutes. Like he was playing big minutes, like you talked about earlier, out there on the penalty kill. Right. Like, so Salamonson, I thought was really impressive. And, there were a lot of Jets fans that were hoping that he would be up, and now lo and behold, Pionk's out for a couple of weeks. And Salamonson is up with the Jets. What did you kind of see in his first game back up with the Jets?
Well, first off, if you're going to come up into the National Hockey League, is there anybody better than to have Dylan Sandberg on your side? I mean, there's that's if you're nervous about anything, there's 54 right beside you. So that changes everything. So I thought it's the right guy to put him with. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure when you play in the top 4 on any NHL team, but I think he's not as shell-shocked as he was when he first came up the first time. This time he knew what to expect. And then you have the security blanket known as Dylan Sandberg beside you. I thought he played great. If you're playing 18-something minutes, that says a testament to what you're doing, and then the penalty kill as well. So I've always appreciated Elias Salamonson's game. Loved watching him at the World Juniors with Sweden. And then again, just it's a guy that people have been clamoring for to come up, because remember, again, when Chevy was sitting over there and Matt Frost, everyone's like, how come there hasn't been any promotions going on? It's funny how these things work out. And it's because of an injury, unfortunately. But the fact that you have survived without 3 veteran defensemen for 1 game, albeit, that it just says that it speaks to the depth at the position. And this is the reason why the Jets got themselves, took a lot of heat over the past couple of years with players leaving the organization because of a lack of opportunity. Well, now you see this log jam starting to clear out a little bit because of trades and guys departing, but injuries sure play a large role in that. So to answer your question, I think he's been great. He's only going to get better, and we'll have to see how long this stay is, because I feel bad. I remember talking to Daniel Fink. He says, man, right before the playoffs, the Jets are going to raid us.
Yeah.
So, they've got a great thing going down with the Manitoba Moose right now, but man, Elias Salamonson, for the time being, certainly belongs in the National Hockey League.
Jamie Thomas, our guest Saturday morning, the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. The Jets have hit the ice for morning skate ahead of today's contest against the Leafs. No line changes from the roster that played on Thursday night in Minnesota. So there's your quick update from Jets morning skate. No surprise that there's no changes, really. I mean, given the way they played on Thursday. But then how does Danny Zhilkin get back into this lineup now, Jamie? Because this is a guy who came in and played well. Obviously he's, young player. Had his opportunity because of injury and some non-performance issues, I would say, from other players. But Morgan Barron is back healthy. They're going with Niederreiter, Lowry, Nemesnikov again. That 4th line for the Jets has been clicking lately with Koepke and Barron and Pearson. So is it injury related that Zhilkin gets back in, or does it become a sort of a load management, given that you have 10 games in the next 14 days, so it's going to be a lot of wear and tear on people?
Yeah, it's going to be the latter. But someone asked me the other day when Morgan Barron was out of the non-contact jersey, what the Jets are going to do. I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry, it's the veterans. It's a veteran team, and as good as Danny Zhilkin was, you're not going to keep Morgan Barron out. And Cole Koepke's been incredible. His speed is something they've certainly lacked in the games that he hasn't been playing in. Great penalty killer. And then Tanner Pearson, you look at him, and all of a sudden he's starting to score goals. So where do you look? And don't touch my 3rd line ever. Niederreiter, Nemestikov, and Lowry. Whoever that turns out to be, that whatever 3rd line iteration comes up, I'm in for. So it's going to be tough. I mean, as good as he's been and deserves to be in the lineup, I think it's going to have to be like, okay, this is our 4th game in 6 days. Let's get Danny Zhilkin in. We don't want him sitting around too long. Or does it get sent back at some point? So we'll have to see. But it's going to be the schedule that dictates when he gets back in, or an injury, and we'll have to see how it goes. But I've been extremely impressed with how he fit in. He did not look overwhelmed at all, and that says a lot about him, from the growth that we talked about earlier in this hit.
Jamie, I don't know
before you ask this question, I just want to point out for the viewing audience that Dave's not here, as we've discussed, but he is clipping Owen Martin Spokane Chiefs highlights and tweeting them out while we're on the air right now. Just wanted to make sure that everyone.
So why is he not on the show then? That's kind of weird.
I can't answer that question, but that our policy at Illegal Curve is to throw each other under the bus at every given opportunity. So I wanted to throw Manuk under the bus.
I think you should. I think you should share your screen and show that Dave is working when he's not supposed to be working. After I get off the show, of course.
Okay, I'll show that
Yeah.
after. You know,
Yeah.
if anybody wants to follow Dave, can validate my comment.
No. If you actually, you know what? Can you share the screen right now?
Yeah, I can share the screen. Hang on
Let's
a
see this.
Yeah, let's.
I'm more than
pull it
happy to
up.
throw Dave under the bus. Like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, let me just.
Oh, I can't do the show. Sorry, sponsors, play now. I can't make it. I'm so busy. I don't feel good. Wait, I'm. Oh my gosh, what is it? What's the timestamp on this? Oh, is that right? 9:42.
This is happening right now. Let me see if I can make it even a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But anyways, nice goal by Owen
And that's
Martin.
a long clip too. So he spent some time doing that.
Oh, there's no question. He's definitely put in the
So,
effort.
so
to-
Jamie, is
And he
Dave
did the math.
is basically Dave saying that his X account is more important than the Illegal Curve Hockey Show on YouTube?
Oh,
I think that's what he's
100%.
saying.
Yeah, that's good. Great job zooming in on that. Look at
Thank
that.
you. Yeah, I am a
spelling
professional
mistakes?
producer here. There you go.
The proud of Oakbank, Manitoba.
Yeah,
he's got,
good for Owen
he's got
Martin.
24 points in 38 games. I think 24 points is more points than Dave has done
That
shows
Dave
over the
has
last
in, like,
couple
the last
months.
3 years. How about that? Yes.
Exactly. Right. So,
Kelly, come on in, everybody.
is there more people coming to watch the Owen Martin?
Yeah. No. It's Kelly Moore and Paul Edmonds, stars of 686
Kelly's
OB.
nice.
Kelly's allowed in. I'm not sure about Paul.
Yeah. Hold on. Here comes Kelly.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk to Kelly.
Excuse me, but this is a photo bomb for the illegal curve.
Good morning,
Paul,
boys.
are we,
How are you?
what's up, boys?
Imparting words of wisdom here? Or?
Well, we're just talking about how Dave Manouk said he was busy and he couldn't do the show today, and we just saw a tweet about 9:42 that he's actually, he's posting but not on the show.
Oh, well, Dave missed Jonathan Taves going hard down in the corner, Connor Hellebuck pulling something, and Josh Morrissey.
Josh Morrissey was traded.
Yeah.
Dave was not at the skate this morning either.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk to him about that outstanding shootout goal by Brad Lambert last night.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you guys see that? Ooh,
Yes.
dynamite.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna
Anyway, we got to
have
go. We got
watch
other
that.
things to do. You guys take care.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are there
thanks
any
for coming by,
questions
guys.
you'd like us? Any questions you'd like us to ask on your behalf?
No, but ask them on Dave's behalf so he can really get.
We
You
will.
can roll him under the bus, That'd be great.
This is great. Jamie, we should do this every week. Like, it's just Jamie and friends. Like, just
Welcome.
random people come in.
Just welcome people into my hit. Hey, you know what I'm really doing is like I'm just delegating because I'm like I don't want to do this.
You're like, I don't want to talk to these guys anymore. I need other people to talk to them.
Yeah.
How much is Play Now paying me for this anyways?
Yeah, the check's in the mail.
Thank you. Do we even
Jamie,
use
I
mail
wanted
anymore?
to ask you about. I don't even think have we talked a lot about Scheif today. I don't even know if we have. That
No.
was maybe one of his best games of the season.
Yeah,
I
I think it was so the stand bomb like threw us all off. That's the whole thing. Like,
Exactly. Yes.
have you guys? Okay, I got to ask you this. In your time here, anytime anybody has touched the puck outside of Patrick Laine and Dustin Byfuglien, has the crowd ever got this excited about when anybody gets near the puck?
No.
That's what I mean.
I mean, it's pretty fun. I mean,
Yeah.
in a season that hasn't been a lot of fun, I mean,
Yeah.
to this point, you got to find the fun where you can. And Logan Stanley has certainly been that fun.
Well,
Somebody else
we have
coming
another
in?
guest. We have another guest, Ryan Leslie, formerly of
Okay.
Oh,
Sportsnet.
nice.
Oh, so there he goes.
How's it going, Ryan?
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Walking by, guys. That's
Ryan, who's starting in net for the Leafs tonight?
I'm not telling you anything. Look at this guy. He's got the shoulders of a brook trout.
A brook trout.
I like it.
Apparently,
like
they're
a-
small. That means they're small. Apparently,
Oh,
he's
okay,
been he's been using that joke like since I worked in Calgary, and it works every time. That's the frustrating part. People always laugh. Okay, back to what we were talking about. Mark Scheifele.
Yes.
Yes, Mark Scheifele, obviously, an amazing performance. A lot of people are already kind of like thinking, how is he going to get on this Olympic team if there's an
Right.
injury? Braden Point was one guy that we obviously are not hoping for anybody to get injured, but I mean, I guess what more can you say about Mark Scheifele this season? I mean, he's on pace for a career year. Good chance that he's going to hit 100 points, but certainly on a couple of nights ago against Minnesota, like that was just vintage Scheifele as far
Right.
as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I think too, I go back to that game in Toronto. Like, was there any worse time, if anybody? Because I've heard that from a lot of people about how well he handled that. But you're talking about a game where you blew a 4-1 lead, and then B, you have to talk about not making Team Canada. Here's the thing: we're still so much time until the puck drops in Milan. I think there's an opportunity for him to keep pushing here and take a spot. And when somebody gets hurt, but he's been incredible. And I think you've heard many of his teammates talk about, how great he's been this year, how he continues to push the pace. And the reason why I thought he was going to make it, because during the majority of the season, outside of October, what was the only line that did anything for the Winnipeg Jets? We're talking about secondary scoring. We're talking about everything else, defenseman scoring. There was none of that. There was none of that for the longest time. So I thought, and I also thought it was crazy that he was in the conversation. He was on the team in October on pretty much everybody's list. And then just because the team goes in a slide and he was still driving play every night, that he all of a sudden comes off. So I'm not sure what happened or if he ever was.
Complicated it? Do you think the Team Canada management, just had too much time, too many meetings, too much? Just overcomplicated the process.
Too many voices too sometimes can be an issue, and I'm not saying that was the case, but man, there was so much time to make a decision, and then they're probably hearing from the outside, oh, this guy's got to get in. Oh, look at Connor Bedard, look at Macklin Celebrini. I always thought, and I'm not taking anything away from Macklin Celebrini at all because he's been unbelievable. I look at the point spread between him and the next closest guy in San Jose. He's clearly the guy there. I just always thought that a guy that's been through a lot, been through the Stanley Cup playoffs, played on Team North America, a guy that I'm talking about, Mark Scheifele, that being a veteran player and being able to handle the pressure moments would be enough. So I think there's too many conversations. They're probably, oh, look, the Jets aren't doing well right now. Maybe that's it. But I thought because of the fact they weren't doing well, but that top line was still driving play, that would be more of a reason to send them. And so there's still some time here, but he's been the last 2 years been incredible. So I really honestly, when he said, I don't know what else I could do, when I hear other people say there's nothing else you could do, I believe it. There's
you take solace in that? Do you think that he can take some solace in that?
No. I can't. The reason why I don't think he can, because I think this is the last time. Because you even look at the World Cup coming up in 2028. This is when Bedard and Celebrini will be running the show by that time, and there won't be any space for him. So I think he looks at it as this was his shot. And I look at what the Four Nations faceoff did for Josh Morrissey. Morrissey was already in another level, but for him to be around those players, that's what I wanted. I wanted that for Mark Scheifele because it would help the Winnipeg Jets down the road. For him to absorb everything, to be around the McDavids, around Sidney Crosby. That was the one part that blew me away in Montreal and Boston, is just the amount of respect and admiration the players had for Sidney Crosby.
Yes.
Like Mark Scheifele, to be around that would be so beneficial for him, and then that would translate here for the Winnipeg Jets. So I was hoping for the organization's sake that he would make the team and then have that opportunity. So maybe there's an injury down the road here where he gets in, but I honestly don't know what else he could have done, guys. And maybe the Jets struggles pushed him off, and then of course Celebrini and Bedard lighting things up, and this year might have made that decision a lot harder.
Jamie, what's coming up on the check-in this afternoon? Who's joining Sarah Orlesky and friends?
Well, I'm not quite sure about who Sarah's bench interview is, but those are always delightful. And of course, Ryan Leslie, as you just saw, will join us from a Maple Leafs perspective. We'll only keep him on for 2 minutes because do we really care about what's going on with Toronto Maple Leafs? I only bring him on because he's my friend, and I want to pretend that we actually care about the Leafs. But it's two teams, obviously, that are in a much better place than they were when they met in Toronto a little while ago. And that's it was just as miserable in Toronto. And I remember having Jonas Siegel on, and there's a lot of similarities. People wanted Mitch Marner out of town, and look what's happening. Right? You don't have somebody getting Austin Matthews. And speaking of Austin Matthews, is there anybody that gets more sour about the mention of Mitch Marner?
Did you see that interview? Did you see that interview yesterday?
That was with Mark Masters.
Listen,
right?
I give
Masters
so much credit. Yes, I give
Yeah.
Masters so much credit because he just keeps going. That's what I love about the guy. And
Masters
he'll ask
Nation.
anything. Yeah, Masters Nations. He's unbelievable in that department. And when he said, I can't even remember what his quote was, but he got the message received was what he said. But it was awkward. I think so. Anyways, it's two teams that are in a much better place, and that's good for us on Hockey Night in Canada and 680 CJOB. But the check-in will have those things and a little bit of some. Maybe I'll push Sarah off the set. I don't know. And bring in some other guests. It just depends. But she is the queen of Winnipeg. I have to tread very lightly.
And you're the
guy
court
that's from
jester, but
Alberta.
we love you nonetheless.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Enjoy the rest of your show and enjoy the game tonight.
Jamie, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Appreciate you joining us this morning. There he goes, Jamie Thomas, live this morning from downtown Winnipeg, the Canada Life Center. That was an entertaining interview, I would say.
Yeah, I like it. It's like Jamie and guests, right? Like he's the guest, but then he brings on more guests. It was great.
You never knew who was going to pop on in that interview. That was a lot of fun. Let's go to break. We're an hour through, commercial-free first hour here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Drew Mandel, Ezra Ginsburg, much more on the Jets and the
I'm
Leafs.
going to close my blinds, by the way. I know the sun. I know that's all happening. What I do is I open up the blinds because I want to get the lighting a little bit better in here. But what ends up happening is it just creates shadows. So yes, chat, I hear you. I'm going to close my blinds. I'm going to go warm up my coffee. I've got a little bit of coffee left here, and then we'll be back. So don't go anywhere. Hit the button, Drew.
I want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
Do our profits benefit your community?
No.
or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre.
Boys, I've made an important life decision, and I need your support.
Oh, boy.
I've decided to get a grill.
You mean a barbecue grill for cooking? Like, that's not an important life decision, Ezzy.
No. A grill for my teeth.
A grill for your teeth? Do I even want to know why you're doing this?
It's simple, really. Every time I go to Holt Dental, I get treated so very well by Dr. John and his team that I need to keep finding additional reasons to go back. I rely on Holt Dental for all of my dental needs, and they do it all, from regular cleanings to cosmetic dentistry. Plus, they have free parking at their front door, and you know how much I love my convenient parking.
For all your dental needs, Illegal Curve recommends Holt Dental, conveniently located on Taylor Avenue near Grant Park Mall. For more information, visit them online at holtdental.ca. For over 40 years, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has been Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy. Renowned in the comedy world as a must-play venue, Rumors has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers, wedding socials, and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase show tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
This January, it's Pasta Tuesday every day at Boston Pizza. Our pastas start at just $11.99 all month long. Create your own or go gourmet for a little extra. Plus, the deal continues every Tuesday all year. Hungry for saucy savings? Hungry for BP.
New and improved Ezra Ginsburg with no sun on his face. I am your host, Drew Mandel.
I told you I'd close the blinds.
I know, that's what I'm saying. New and improved. You got the, we can see your handsome face. We're no longer blinded by streaks of light.
Stop
anymore.
it, Drew.
I know. I'm in a good mood. I'm in a happy, shiny place today so far, at the very least. A lot of fun there with Jamie Thomas. It's always great catching up with Jamie. He's a good friend of ours, and nice to see all the other accompaniments that came with Jamie on this Saturday morning edition of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We remind everybody later on tonight, after the Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs, so that'll be about 8:40, 8:45. It'll be the Illegal Curve post-game show. I will be here. I have no idea who else is going to be here, but I will be here, and then time will tell who's joining me, if anybody, or if it's going to be a Mindell solo cast, and may God have mercy on all of our souls if that ends up being the case. From the Toronto Maple Leafs perspective, William Nylander will not play tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He got injured in Vegas. I guess that was, Thursday night, where they lost in overtime in Vegas. The Leafs did. So Nylander will not play tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I need not tell you that is a big loss for the team from Toronto. More information regarding the Leafs and their lineup will come when they hit the ice for morning skate here in a little bit. And Dave McCarthy of Sirius XM NHL Radio. He's going to join us at the bottom of hour number 2, which is this hour, to talk more about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Danny Zhilkin out of the lineup again for the Winnipeg Jets tonight, Ezzy. I asked Jamie about Zhilkin and how he gets back in the lineup, because I don't think it's anything about performance that is keeping him out. Simply a matter of the Jets forward group being healthy at this point in time. But do you think that his performance was better than some of the veterans that the Jets are keeping in the lineup to this point? Or are you okay with the decision to go with Barron as your fourth line center rather than Zhilkin, and or maybe having Barron up on the wing and Zhilkin up the middle instead?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, obviously, it's not fair to compare Morgan Barron to Danny Zhilkin, because you're talking about a guy that's got hundreds of games of NHL experience versus a guy who's got, 3 or 4 games of NHL experience, right? But so nobody should be surprised that Morgan Barron is back in the lineup, right? Like, I think it's a function, Drew, of what you just said. It's because the Jets are healthy right now. And the reason why Danny Zhilkin was called up was obviously because they had injuries, right? So you've also got Gus Nyquist as the odd man out, right? And that's why, a lot of people are asking the question, is Gus Nyquist a guy that could be moved just because, you have a guy who's making $3 million or whatever he's making as a healthy scratch, right? So I think, first of all, Zhilkin was very impressive. I think, without getting, too crazy, the thing that Jamie mentioned that I thought resonated with me is that he didn't look out of place, right? And I think it's not the easiest position to come into when the team has lost 11 games in a row, because that's when Zhilkin came into the lineup. If I'm not mistaken, it was that LA game, right, that he came into the lineup. Drew, that was his first game, I think.
That would have been...
I could look it up here, but I think it was the LA game where he came into the lineup, and that started the winning streak. But hold on, let me check.
LA or New Jersey. I'm just trying to think. It was probably LA. I think you're right about that.
Edmonton.
That right.
It was Edmonton. It was actually Edmonton. So it
was the game before that. Okay.
Yeah. So he was in that game that they lost, but the fact is that he was in the next 3 games, which they won. Right. So, not bad to start your career winning 3 or 4 games up with the big club when the season hasn't been going as good as you would like. Right. But Zhilkin, I think there's a lot to like there, right? Like good skater, good size. I think what impressed me the most is he didn't look out of place defensively, right? Like he's a smart player. And that's why he got the call up, right? Because when you think about the options that the Moose have, and obviously Brad Lambert is kind of a hot button topic because Lambert hasn't been exactly lighting it up, even though he scored the shootout winner, like Paulie Edmonds said last night.
Right.
But you thought maybe Lambert would be called up, right? We thought it might be Walker Dewar. Obviously, our very own Dave Minuk was the first one that I'm aware of that threw out Danny Zhilkin as potentially being the first call up for the Jets. So it just shows you, Drew, how much confidence they have in him to call him up over some other guys that have NHL experience. Like, David Gustafson's another guy. They called Zhilkin up over David Gustafson because I believe they see Zhilkin as a part of this team going forward. Like they see him as a potential fourth line guy, maybe even a third line guy next year. But I wouldn't be surprised if Zhilkin is sent back down. I don't think at this point you want him necessarily being your regular healthy scratch. So that could be coming shortly. But I think the fact that Zhilkin, has got 4 games in when we didn't necessarily see that happening at the beginning of the year is only good for his development.
There's no question he's earned those 4 games. And I want to, hear Paulie Edmonds or Kelly Moore mentioned the Brad Lambert shootout winner from last night. So I just want to show that before going back to the Zhilkin conversation. Here is Brad Lambert last night for the Manitoba Moose. This is against Laval last night. And that's sort of the tantalizing skill set of Brad Lambert that, everybody is excited about.
That was silky.
The speed. It was silky. Exactly right. That's just going, very nifty goal by Brad Lambert.
That's what you call undressing the goaltender, Drew.
Right. Our buddy Daniel Fink on the call there. So I just wanted to bring that up because I know it was mentioned earlier on the show.
And it was a great call too, really. I really like the audio we had with that.
Yeah, Daniel, could you not hear? I don't know if you guys could hear the audio.
No, we couldn't hear it.
Okay, I could hear it in my headphones. I couldn't get it through.
At least I couldn't hear it. I don't know if the chat could hear it, but
I may not have shared the audio. It's entirely possible.
Yeah. We'll use our imagination, Drew.
There you go. You can trust me when I say it was a great call by our buddy Daniel Fink. you know what I'm surprised about, not surprised, but what I'm intrigued about the possibility of Zhilkin getting into the lineup over a guy like either Niederreiter or Nemesnikov. And probably more Nemesnikov than Niederreiter, I would assume, because I think the Jets like the sort of big body approach that Niederreiter brings to the table next to Adam Lowry. But I wonder if you don't start to see a little bit of that in order to keep Zhilkin sort of getting games at the NHL level, you know, keeping him fresh. And to be perfectly frank, Vlad Nemesnikov, you know, hasn't looked great coming back into the Jets lineup after he missed that game, you know, with the healthy scratch. Yes, he scored the goal. You know, again, I can't even remember which game that was. The LA game, I think he scored the first goal of the game, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right, Drew.
But he hasn't looked great since then. And I wonder if a guy like Zhilkin, you know, what I would do, and again, nobody asks me my opinion, but I wouldn't have a problem with, you know, Zhilkin going there on the fourth line to center and Barron moving up to that third line wing spot and going Barron, Lowry, and Niederreiter. I know that might take away a little bit from your effectiveness of your fourth line, because I know that Barron, Pearson, and Koepke have been very good. But, you know, I don't know about how solidified Vlad Nemesnikov's hold on a lineup spot is right now, given some of his some of the poor play that we've seen from him this year and lately as well.
It's a fair point to bring up. It really is. Nemesnikov hasn't had a good year. I mean, I'm a big fan of Nemesnikov. We've had him on the show before. Like, you know, and I like his personality. I know I'm of the belief that he's very well liked in the dressing room, like veteran player. He's got a lot of, what does he have, 700 or 800 games of NHL experience. Like, he's played a lot of hockey in the NHL. But Zhilkin has been impressive. And I wonder if, you know, the only concern is, are you going to get enough production from Zhilkin, right? Like, you're going to need, but you're not getting the production from Nemesnikov.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, right? So it's interesting to see, like, going back to what I said before, I don't think you want to have a situation where Zhilkin is a regular healthy scratch. Like, at his age, 22, 23 years old, you want him playing games. You don't want him riding the press box. And for all the talk about, you know, being up with the big club and being around these guys and everything like that, he's got to play games. We always say that, right? Young players have to be playing games. So it's one thing for Gus Nyquist to be the regular healthy scratch. Right now, he's the odd man out. There's other players that are better than him, but it'll be interesting to see, Drew. I just don't, to answer your question or go back to kind of what we were talking about before, if he'll go back in the lineup. Yeah. I have absolutely no idea, right? But I know one thing: if they're not going to put him in the lineup, then he's got to go back down and be playing regular games with the Moose.
I would agree with that. I mean, Vlad Nemesnikov has, you know, after he had that heater to start the year. He had this heater in the month of October where he had, I think it was, you know, 5 goals or 6 goals in the month of October. He's got 4 points in 34 games since then.
Yeah, it's been a bad year for him. Like, and the thing is, Nemesnikov is a responsible defensive player. That's fine. But he's got to be producing, especially when he's been given the opportunity on the second line.
But you see times where he's also not that responsible defensively. You think about the first goal that Minnesota scored, the Yurov goal on Thursday night, when it was, you know, I guess it was a 3-0 game at that point in time. Nemesnikov, if I recall correctly, is the guy who loses Yurov. That he doesn't mark his man well enough. And, you know, it's not like he's egregiously out of position, but all it takes is, you know, a half a step in the wrong direction, or a half second of losing your mark, and it's in the back of the net.
Well, one thing we can agree on is, I think with the play of Zhilkin, it has given the Jets coaching staff something to think about in terms of as an option, right? Because it's possible that Zhilkin came up and, you know, we didn't know how he was going to play. It was his first few NHL games, and it's possible that he didn't play very well and he was out of place. And then, okay, you send him back to the Moose, but he's now shown that, you know, he doesn't look out of place. Like, he's a guy, we saw him. He's had a few shots on net when he's been there. He's been around the puck. Like, he's been noticeable, and it's very easy for a player to look out of place. Salamonson looked out of place when he first came up with the Jets, and I did not think he would look out of place with the Wild. But that's what happens. You have to remember, these guys are very young, and they, like, a lot can happen over the course of a season. They gain confidence, and they players look different in October versus January, where we are right now, right? So yeah, Zhilkin's an interesting player, because, like we said at the beginning of the season, Drew, who were the Jets prospects that we really were talking about that could crack the everyday roster? It was Brad Lambert and it was Nikita Chibrikov.
Yeah.
And both of those guys didn't take and you could say that, because of the acquisitions that Chevy made, that there wasn't really an opportunity. Like guys like Tanner Pearson, Gus Nyquist, Cole Koepke. You could say that
Lambert and Chibrikov were in the Jets lineup, early on in this season, and neither of them secured a job for themselves.
Well, they didn't. Not only that, they weren't called up during this when Morgan Barron went down. Right, it was Danny Zhilkin that was called up. Right, so that shows you that I'm not saying that means Danny Zhilkin's a better player. But it certainly means he's a better player right now in the Jets' minds. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with you, to that effect. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Jets handle that. Because I agree with you again that there's no question you have to have him in the lineup. You have to have him playing. But you're not in an immediate roster crunch right now with the injuries that you have on the back end in particular.
No, because these guys are on. I don't know if Pionk is on IR, but the other guys are on IR.
Yes,
like Miller and Fleury are on IR, but I don't think Pionk is.
I don't think Pionk is either. I think you're right about that. But you look at the schedule.
Sorry, Drew. Sorry, just as an aside, we'll go back to the schedule, but there isn't a maximum. I don't think that you can have guys on IR. Is there?
No, I think there's not a maximum that I can. No, I think you got guys who are on IR, and then you got guys who are, of course, on LTIR. The Jets don't have anybody on that, but
no,
Pionk is also on IR. They're all three of them are
on
IR.
He is on IR. Yeah. Okay, I was mistaken.
Yeah,
just like anybody who watches the Illegal Curve Hockey Show knows, Drew has to fact check me several times during the show because it's not that I'm lying or I sometimes get my facts mixed up.
He's just a big confused bear sometimes, kids. That's all he is, and we love him for it nonetheless. But my point is, again, you have 3 and 4 nights. You have Toronto tonight. You have Chicago on Monday. You have the Blues on Tuesday. Why not use the guys that are up in your lineup and give some veteran guys some rest over the next couple games? So, if you got Nemesnikov and Niederreiter in your lineup tonight, one of them should sit. Let's assume that they don't, blow the roof off the barn tonight, because I don't expect either of them to, because that's not their style. But why not have one of them sit on Monday against the Blackhawks and put Zhilkin in, or have one of them sit on Tuesday against the Blues and put Zhilkin in? You have these guys up, you're paying them. Look, Scott Arniel trusted Danny Zhilkin to the point that he was playing him shorthanded. For a guy in his second or third NHL game to be getting minutes shorthanded, as he tells you, that at least at that moment he's got the coach's trust. When you're looking down the bench and you're Scott Arniel and you're deciding, okay, I need you, Adam Lowry, shorthanded. I need you, Morgan. I guess Barron was out of the lineup, so he wasn't an option. But I need you, Adam Lowry. I need you, so and so. I need you, Danny Zhilkin, to go play some PK. This isn't a guy who's getting 8 minutes, all of it at 5-on-5. This is a guy who's getting some special teams time because, for at least that moment, he has the coach's trust. I would use him more at least Monday or Tuesday when you got that back-to-back situation. Traveling to Chicago on Monday, home to St. Louis on Tuesday. Keep your guys fresh. You have them up there. Keep them fresh. Keep everybody going. You got 10 games to go before the break, and you need every last possible point, and you need everybody, all the guys are on your roster, pulling on the rope in the right direction to try and get your team back from, I guess they're no longer in 32nd, but you're still in 31st overall in the NHL. You need to get up, after you can't be in 31st come the end of come the Olympic break. You need to be in 22nd, 21st, something like that overall.
Absolutely, and I think Vancouver's basically said, "Hold my beer. We've got 32nd." That's what is happening. Vancouver wants Gavin McKenna. I think that's very clear. Or at the very least, they want the first overall pick, because if you listen to Insider Trading the other day, it seems like everybody could be available, including Elias Pettersson. Certainly Kiefer Sherwood, Connor Garland. Like, there's names out there. When you trade Quinn Hughes, I think it's pretty clear that almost everything is on the table.
Well, all teams should be trying to pick those bones of the Vancouver Canucks.
No, absolutely. I think it's only a matter of time before some of these guys are traded. Pettersson, I think, I don't know the likelihood of that happening, but he was mentioned that he's not off the table. Like, that obviously would be a blockbuster trade. You're talking about a former.
He's not any good anymore.
Well, he's still a former 100-point guy, right? Like,
yeah,
the thing is, like,
look at his
numbers. You're right. He's had a terrible year for sure.
He's had 2 terrible years. Everything about him, his numbers lately, everything about his performance over the last couple of years has been concerning. His top speed is concerning. I mean, and I'm being too harsh. He's still a desirable asset, but that contract isn't aging very nicely. This is a guy who's not a point a game player. He's at 29 points in 39 games for the Canucks. So are you wanting to pay big assets and $10.5 million a year to a guy who's probably a 60 to 70 point guy? Maybe this isn't the guy he once was.
I think it depends on the asking price, obviously, but you think about some of the top teams either in the East or the West. I don't necessarily know that like a team like Colorado or Dallas.
Carolina was the team that's been linked to him.
That's the team that I thought of. It's like you every year, what happens with Carolina is they don't get enough scoring in the playoffs and they don't end up getting to the Stanley Cup final. I'm not saying, Drew, I'm not saying that I'm not predicting and saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it could happen. That's how far the Canucks have fallen, that basically everybody is on the table, including Pettersson. So that's all I'm saying. Vancouver, I think, is going to, what I'm trying to say is I think they're going to stay in 32nd. I don't think Vancouver is going to go on any type of run. They're obviously, if there's one team that's tanking, it's the Vancouver Canucks. So, but to your point, I mean, the Jets have to go on a winning streak. And at the end of the day, because this is such a game-by-game situation now for the Jets where they just have to put together as many wins as they can, if Scott Arniel and the coaching staff believe that Jilkin gives them a better chance to win, maybe dependent on the competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you put him in. But absolutely, I think, it comes back to in the 4 games that Jilkin played, I think he showed enough to get another opportunity. That's the big thing. That's the most important thing. Yeah, he didn't have any points. That's not what it's about. They're not the Jets, obviously, if he gets a goal or he picks up an assist, that's great. But you know that the Jets are looking at him differently than they're looking at other players.
Well, they're
seeing what he's doing away from the puck. Is he going into the right places, right? Like is like on breakouts, is he where, because it's all systems. So if these guys aren't in the right place at the right time, and that's what I think. I mean, I haven't talked to Mark Morrison. Dave obviously talks to Mark Morrison. I haven't talked to Mark Morrison, but I imagine one of the things that he told Scott Arniel and the coaching staff is that he's reliable. Exactly. Reliable is the word. And that's what stands out to me about Danny Jilkin. I think there's a lot of kind of David Gustafsson kind of esque in his game. Gustafsson's the same type of player. Do you want more offense from Gustafsson at the NHL level when he's been up there? Yes. And I don't know if he's going to get that opportunity this year with the Jets or if it's going to be another team, but I think the thing with Jilkin is he has the ability, if you want, that he can play in situations where you are holding on to a lead and he's going to give you reliable play, whether that's the 4th line or the 3rd line. So again, in a year in which we didn't expect Logan Stanley to have 8 goals and 15 points, I don't think we expected, back in October to be talking about, whether Danny Jilkin was going to be in the Jets lineup. So this is all a pleasant surprise, I would say.
Yeah, it's kudos to him. He's, anytime you can go and you can steal a spot, steal an NHL roster spot, even if it's for a day, a week, a month, however long it might be, then you've definitely accomplished something. So kudos to Danny Jilkin for doing that. And of course, the question becomes, when does he get back into the Jets lineup after being the healthy scratch?
And also, by all accounts, just off the ice too, Dave, from what Dave said, he's an excellent kid. Like, just like has his head on his shoulders. Always a pleasure to talk to for Dave, right? So that's just another example of, like, I think that's only helping him, that guys like him around the lineup. Like, he's the type of player that, players want to see him succeed. So I just wanted to get that in there, that I think, Jilkin, he had some struggles last year. I think he only scored 7 goals in 50 games or something like that with the Moose, but he's already got 7 goals this year. And he's now got 4 games of NHL experience under his belt. So it's only good this year. I think if there's one player in the Jets system that you could say his development has been has surpassed your expectations, I think it would be Jilkin.
No question. I would agree with that. I would agree with that assessment. The Jets, of course, in the midst of a very important stretch tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs, Monday in Chicago against the Blackhawks, and then Tuesday back home against the St. Louis Blues. Again, I just look at the standings. If you get clean victories over the Blackhawks and the Blues, you'll be at 47 points. It could be even 49, depending on what happens tonight against Toronto. You could leapfrog some teams with a good stretch over the next 4 nights. That's what you could do. Between now and Tuesday night, the end of Tuesday night's game against the Blues, the Jets could really make some hay and begin to, I called them frisky on the post-game show on Thursday night. win 3 more in a row, and you can only do it one at a time tonight against the Leafs, and then things get, I think, even more interesting before you head out east and face some of the Eastern Conference teams. I guess you got a couple more home games still against the Panthers and the Red Wings next Saturday night to wrap up this homestand. Again, things getting interesting a little bit at this point in time. How much of that game on January 1st do you think the Jets are thinking about as they enter today's game against the Leafs? I mean, that was a victory taken away from them by their own wrongdoing. So how much do you think that they're thinking about that heading tonight against
the Leafs? Tying goal or the winning goal that was the Hellebuck? Wasn't it Hellebuck and Pionk behind the net?
Comrie. It was Comrie.
Oh, it was Comrie, right.
Yeah. It was the winning goal. It was
a giveaway, right?
Goal. I mean, remember, the Jets had a 4-1 lead in that game. They came back. They had a 5-4 lead in that game. The Austin Matthews just was the game-winning goal, just that utter flub. Just the probably rock bottom for the Jets in the midst of that losing streak.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you mentioned earlier, Drew, William Nylander, Wild Bill. He's not going to be in the lineup, right? So that's Toronto's best offensive player.
Oh, sorry, hang on. Isn't William Karlsson Wild Bill?
I like to call, or what do they call William Nylander? Big Willie?
I don't know. They call him anything.
I think there's a nickname for him. We'll ask Dave McCarthy. Dave McCarthy is as tuned in with the Leafs as anybody. We'll ask him what Nylander's nickname. I thought it was Big Willie or Wild Bill or. You're right. Karlsson is.
Yeah, can you do me a favor and stop saying Big Willie?
Okay, sorry. What about Free Willy? You want me to talk about that movie?
No.
I know back in the day, Drew, that you loved that movie because I loved that movie too. Free Willy, let's be honest, when that movie dropped, if people don't know what I'm talking about, it was a movie about a whale.
Apparently everybody, we know what Free Willy is, but everybody's saying that they call him Willie Styles.
Willie Styles, that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah,
you got your nicknames confused.
Willie, I called him, what did I call him? Wild Bill?
Yeah, that's
Willie.
Karlsson.
Yeah, that was close enough. They're both Swedish. They'll have no problem with that.
Actually, that's the motto of a legal curve. Yeah, that was close enough.
Yeah, exactly. A legal curve. Well, we're close enough.
Close enough since 2011.
But the point is that the Leafs right now, look, we're going to get into this with Dave McCarthy. The Leafs have been 2 different teams on home ice versus the on the road. They've been one of the best home teams in the league, and they've been one of the worst road teams in the league. So that's something that's been a huge issue for them. I know that the power play has also been a massive issue for them. I think they're 21st or 22nd in the league. When you have guys like Austin Matthews and Nylander and Matthew Nyes and all these really good offensive players, it's kind of Tavares. It's hard to believe that their power play isn't doing better than that. But this is a winnable game. And so you asked about January 1st, Drew, and if the Jets are thinking about that. I mean, how can you not, based on the way they lost, right? So, I mean, there's going to be no shortage of motivation for this Jets team. I mean, it's a national audience, Hockey Day in Canada, right? So I'm excited, and I think I'm expecting another high-scoring, close game. That's what I'm expecting tonight.
Well, when we come back, Dave McCarthy, Sirius XM NHL Radio, he's the Leafs correspondent. He'll join us to talk about the opposition tonight in downtown Winnipeg. Drew Mindell, Ezra Ginsburg. It's a Saturday morning edition of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. It's presented by our friends at Play Now. Much more to come. Don't go anywhere.
I want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling sites instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre.
Boys, I've made an important life decision, and I need your support.
Oh, boy.
I've decided to get a grill.
You mean a barbecue grill for cooking? Like, that's not an important life decision, Ezzy.
No. A grill for my teeth.
A grill for your teeth? Do I even want to know why you're doing this?
It's simple, really. Every time I go to Holt Dental, I get treated so very well by Dr. John and his team that I need to keep finding additional reasons to go back. I rely on Holt Dental for all of my dental needs, and they do it all, from regular cleanings to cosmetic dentistry. Plus, they have free parking at their front door, and you know how much I love my convenient parking.
For all your dental needs, Illegal Curve recommends Holt Dental, conveniently located on Taylor Avenue near Grant Park Mall. For more information, visit them online at holtdental.ca. For over 40 years, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has been Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy. Renowned in the comedy world as a must-play venue, Rumors has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers, wedding socials, and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase show tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
This January, it's Pasta Tuesday every day at Boston Pizza. Our pastas start at just $11.99 all month long. Create your own or go gourmet for a little extra. Plus, the deal continues every Tuesday all year. Hungry for saucy savings? Hungry for BP.
Bottom of hour number 2. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Along with Ezra Ginsburg, I am your host, Drew Mandel. We remind everybody later tonight, after the Toronto Maple Leafs Winnipeg Jets contest in downtown Winnipeg, the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, the Illegal Curve post-game show to be exact, will bring you all the latest news, analysis, commentary, insight, everything under the sun regarding what happens tonight in downtown
Tomfoolery.
Winnipeg.
Don't forget about the tomfoolery, Drew.
There's always tomfoolery. Join us right around probably 8:40 p.m. Central Time for tonight's edition of the Illegal Curve post-game show. We're looking forward to that. For now, though, we welcome to the Illegal Curve Hockey Show from SiriusXM NHL Radio, Toronto Maple Leafs correspondent, hat-wearing aficionado. We welcome Dave McCarthy to the program. Dave, good morning. Nice to see you. How are things?
Fellas, what is going on?
Well, we're talking about the Jets and the Leafs and your hat. So, good things on both fronts, I would say. That's a sharp hat, I must say.
Yeah, it's not a new one. It's not new. It's been around for a little while. It's one of the preferred ones in the collection.
I was going to say, how significant, how established is the hat collection?
It's probably 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at least 10.
That's a good amount of hats. That gives you options. I appreciate that. You got your Saturday morning hats, you got your formal hats, whatever it might be. Different hats are a staple of a man's wardrobe.
That's exactly right. It's just incomplete without it.
Mm-hmm. Your head would be cold. Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
Moving away from hats because this show can go off the rails pretty quickly. But
Dave, we had Jamie Thomas on before you, and we started talking about Botox. So I think this is not a surprise that we're fixated on your hats.
I would not be an expert in that regard, so I'm glad you had that with Jamie. I haven't seen Jamie in a long time, actually. I was hoping he was going to be in town when the Jets were here a couple of weeks ago, but was not. But next time you see him, say hi to him.
Totally. Well, Jamie, Dave, we keep him in Winnipeg. We don't let him leave now. He's ours, so we just keep him here. Even when it's minus 30 like it is right now in Winnipeg, we don't let him leave.
Well, it's going to be minus 25 here in my part of Etobicoke next weekend. So I was sending out my texts this morning to remind my good buddy Mark Mosier in Colorado, who will be here next weekend, not to forget to bring his long underpants because he might need them.
He might be a little chilly.
Very cold.
So two teams that were very chilly, back, at the end of December, beginning of January, when the Jets and the Leafs last met, were the Jets and the Leafs. Two teams that had a lot of negativity swirling around them, had a lot of what is going to happen with these teams given their struggles. Now, both of these teams are still not yet in a playoff spot. The Leafs, of course, only 2 points out of a playoff spot in the East. The Jets a lot further back in the West. But from the Leafs' perspective, what has been the catalyst of the recent improvement in their play? And, is there a limit to the success that they can find now? Or do you think that this, the first half of the season where the struggles were so significant are almost beyond them, and now it's a whole new ball game for the remaining 35?
Well, I'll point to three things. Number one, since the game before Christmas against the Pittsburgh Penguins, Austin Matthews has looked more like the Austin Matthews who scored 69 times than the guy who played the last year and a bit, which was fine for ordinary people, but nowhere near as good as Austin Matthews can be. That is a significant alteration to have his play be at that level again. He's that good. They're paying him to be that good. And when he is that good, he is the difference in games instead of just being a guy on the ice, which if you're making 13 plus in a cap world, you cannot afford to have him be just a guy on the ice. You won't be where you want to be as a team. So that's number one. Number two is the power play has gotten dramatically better compared to where it was earlier in the year, when I agree with Craig Berube, it was costing them points in the standings. Since they made the change from Mark Savard to Steve Sullivan, they have been much better. How much of that is coincidence and how much of that should be attributed to Steve himself? That's hard to say. I mean, I don't think their power play was as bad as it was at the beginning of the year. But I think maybe a new voice was valuable. And so their power play has been better and it has been contributing. And as a result, they've been picking up points that they otherwise wouldn't have got without their special teams being very good. And three is the fact that they're playing with purpose now. You can see by and large throughout the game a purpose with how they're playing. They're dumping pucks into the corner with a purpose, where there's a guy already off and running to go in there and get it. Their play along the boards has been much better. They're winning board battles, winning puck battles. They're not making as many. Everybody makes mistakes, but they're not making as many painfully bad decisions with the puck in their own end. They're defending better. And just quite frankly, I hate to say it, but there were a lot of games in the first 25 or so where you just watch, you're like, it doesn't even really look like they give a damn right now. And they look like they give a damn right now. And they obviously were trying, but there wasn't a lot of purpose in their play. There is now. And so I'm not surprised that they've played the way they have the last 10 or 11 games. Because I think this is the team that they're capable of being. I am more surprised of how poorly they played in the first 25. So the answer is yes. I think they can continue to play like this, because this is what I expected at the beginning of the year. The problem now is, boys, is that they have already played their suck card. They cannot do that again for the remainder of the year, or they will fall right back to where they are. And so you're asking a long period of consistency. That is difficult to do, but that's the hole they've dug themselves. I think they're capable of doing it. We'll see.
Dave, we obviously have to talk about William Nylander. He's not expected to play tonight against the Jets, but what a up and down or high and low week for him, right? He scores the winning goal against the Colorado Avalanche on Monday, and then against Vegas, he leaves the game. And I'm of the belief, and that's why obviously we have you on, but I'm of the belief that right now it's not known what the injury is, right? Is there any latest on Nylander? Like, do we still know if it's short-term, day-to-day? Like, what's the latest on Nylander?
It's a re-aggravation of the issue that kept him out for, I think, 6 games 2 weeks ago, I guess, before he returned. He got hurt along the boards when he kind of lost his footing in the celebration of one of the goals against Vegas. Like, I mean, come on.
Don't injure yourself in celebration.
And he wasn't even doing anything stupid either. It's just like it looked like his skate caught a rut, and he kind of speed wobbled, and he re-aggravated his leg. It's a knee / ankle somewhere in that lower part of the leg injury that has cropped up again. And so the fact that it is not ideal. Craig Berube hasn't suggested if it'll be long or short at this point, and I would be surprised if he does. Generally, everything here is day to day. unless it's a case of no immediate plans to get on the ice, which I haven't heard him say. So, we'll see. They have a very busy week coming up next week with 4 games every other day. So there's not a lot of rest and recuperation time. Don't think he'll play. He won't play today. I do not think they will practice Sunday, so he gets 3 days off the ice. I think we'll get a good idea on Monday if he appears at the morning skate or not. How long it might be, if they say there's a chance he comes back next week, or if it's just take the week and forget about it. Problem is I know he wants to play in the Olympics, and that's just around the corner. I mean, it's not long from now. So, the Leafs would like him to be healthy, and I'm sure use the Olympic break to get healthy. He wants to play in the Olympics. He's earned the right. If he's going to be fighting through something, it's not an ideal situation for the Maple Leafs, especially if this is an injury that clearly wasn't 100%, given the fact that it cropped back up so relatively easily in short order.
Dave McCarthy is our guest on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Dave covers the Maple Leafs for NHL.com. You also hear him regularly on Sirius XM NHL Radio. The back end for Toronto has got a big hole by the name of Chris Tanev. It's not a hole that's expected to be filled anytime soon, as Tanev's availability for the remainder of the season is in doubt. I think that would be the best way of describing it.
Yes.
What do the Leafs do without the Chris Tanev in the lineup? Is this something that they're looking to address, sooner rather than later, or is this just, I guess what's the game plan, knowing that you're not going to have Tanev, really, Paulie, for the rest of the regular season?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because his return for that game just before Christmas against Pittsburgh, and then I think it was the 3 that he played, that really was the beginning of the team turning it around. And he has just such a large impact on the game, the way he's able to control the game in his own end. He really helped get things under control and take away a lot of the panic. So to lose him is not good. He really just commands the play so well, makes simple plays, doesn't panic, gets the puck out of trouble, makes the guy who he plays with better. So look, they're in the market for a right-handed defenseman. Any defenseman who shoots right and is available is connected to the Toronto Maple Leafs. 1, because it would help, and 2, just because, well, everyone's connected to the Toronto Maple Leafs if they're available, aren't they?
Yes.
No salary cap for the Leafs, apparently.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's
Dave, please see Luke Shen.
Well, so that was what I was going to say. I think there is a fit there with Luke and the Maple Leafs, though I think at this point they're looking to see, and this is meant as no disrespect to Luke, but they're seeing if they can do better. They should. Is there a fit for Dougie Hamilton? Is there a fit for Rasmus Andersson, who Brad Treliving has great familiarity with from his days in Calgary? They're looking at those things right now, but they also have to be smart about it, right? Like, you got to watch what you pay too, because the farm system is not exactly teaming. And I think they're, in hindsight, going to look back at the trade last year where they went out and got Brandon Carlo for Fraser Minton and a first-round pick as one that might not have been the best deal. Like, Fraser Minton should have been more than enough, really.
He's a good player.
He's a very good player. A first-round pick on top of that, like, Boston kind of got the better of the Leafs on that one.
Well, sorry, to your point, Dave, here in Winnipeg, we are apoplectic about the Jets not having a second and a fourth for the next 2 years. Players that have been traded at the deadline and various other trades. You look at the Leafs for the next, couple of years. This year, no first, no second, no fourth, no seventh. Next year, no first, no third. I mean, that is, depleting your draft capital, to no extent.
Yeah, it's not a good position. So, if you're getting a guy like Rasmus Andersson, he's not going to come for free. Like, are you trading Easton Cowan? To me, that's stupid, because you get one guy who's older and then create another problem up front for a guy that's continuing to improve as the season goes on and is young and cheap. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I don't know if they have the personnel capital to get a guy like Erasmus Anderson. I like Luke Shen. I think he would be an improvement, and then so what you're doing then is saying that you got Brandon Carlo, you've got Troy Stetcher, you've got Luke Shen on your right side probably with Morgan Riley, Jake McCabe, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Or you move OEL over and you put Simon Benoit in there, and Stetcher or Shen becomes your seventh guy. Although Stetcher's played very, very well since coming over in a waiver claim earlier in the year, deserves a ton of credit. But I think that's what you're looking at your defense as then, because I don't see the personnel. They have it, they could do it, but I think partly what I'm saying is that it wouldn't be, in my mind, a prudent move to make to go out and get a guy like Rasmus Anderson for what it would cost you to get him. I don't think you become that dramatically better of a team then in that case.
Dave, do we know who's going to be starting in net tonight? Is it going to be Joseph Wall or Dennis Hildeby? And then obviously Wall didn't have a great night against Vegas, even though he's, as you know, he's had a fantastic season so far. But what's your kind of overall assessment of the goaltending situation? Obviously, with Stolarz, I think expected back relatively soon.
Possibly could be back soon. Not likely tonight. Unclear who's going to start for the Leafs tonight. Joe Wall was not at practice on Friday in Vegas.
That was just maintenance, or just like a day off for him, or
maintenance to an extent. I think if I would guess, I'd say Hildeby, just because Wall he played against Colorado, he played against Vegas. They don't want to overwork the guy.
And Hildeby came in against the Jets on January 1st and shut them down.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, really, if he didn't play as well as he did, Leafs would have lost that hockey game. So, look, Hildeby played Tuesday against Utah. The team was no good. It was one of those games where you just kind of had the feeling that the travel from Colorado to Utah is not easy.
It's the second game of a back-to-back, right,
Second
Dave?
game of a back-to-back after Colorado, where they really emptied the emotional tank in getting what was the win of the season and, quite honestly, the effort of the season. And they were on a long point streak. I think it was 10 games. You're going to lose some hockey games, and I was not surprised that was one of them. But to have Joe Wall play 3 of 4 on the road, leading into a busy week next week at home, I would surprise me a little bit. And I think they're at the point now where they're confident in Dennis Hildeby to play games outside of just back-to-back situations. Joe Wall seems to be played to play a little bit better when he's not overworked either. So I'm guessing, but my hunch would be Hildeby. But if I'm wrong, I'll apologize.
Dave, we'll let you go on this last one, unless Ezzy has another one that I don't know about. But
I've got another one.
Okay,
Go
there
ahead.
you go.
I got time.
Okay, the PK for the Leafs has been a strong suit all season long. I mean, they're fourth in the league, just under 84%. They're actually tied with the Leafs, with the Lightning for third in the league. So I even shortchanged them by a standing point there. Why the success on the PK? I mean, you look at the roster, and you don't think defensive stalwart immediately when you think of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So why have they been able to execute as well as they have while shorthanded?
Well, Derek Lalonde's done a really good job. I was talking to Scott Lawton about that the other day. Not just shorthanded on a penalty kill situation, but even 6-on-5 situations. Scott told me that Derek's done a really good job of explaining the system that he wants the team to play and exactly where he wants everybody to be in certain circumstances. And now it's just about going out and executing. And Scott said, look, we have the personnel to do it. Scott's been excellent this year, winning faceoffs. When you start with a puck in a shorthanded situation, that helps. If you can get that initial clear, and then prevent a break-in, you pretty much have killed off half to 3/4 of the penalty before the team has been able to get organized. Because then now you're looking at getting a change if you're the power play team, and you got 30, 35, 40 seconds left. So if you can win that initial draw and get it clear, and then muddle up the break-in, you're in good shape. And they've done that really well. They've taken away the middle of the ice. And then once the team has been set up in the zone, they've done a really good job of forcing the power play into a trap and then breaking it up and getting clears. So you look at the personnel. You got Scott Lawton, Steven Lorentz. When Calle Yarncroke's been in the lineup, he's been a very good penalty killer. They've got guys that can be effective defensively, and they played really well to the system. So that's what I'd say. Winning the draw has helped big time, because you're not chasing the play. And if you can do that, you're in really good shape. And that run that Scotty Lawton was on before they went on the road in Philadelphia, he went 19 for 20. And then the next game at home, he was, I believe, 17 for 22. Like you combine that, that's a hell of a lot better than my math mark in grade 12, which I wouldn't say is necessarily that difficult to beat, but when the best guy in the NHL on faceoffs at the end of the year is up around 55, 6, 7%, that's not quite as good as my math mark. But in this case, what he did those 2 games and on the year, he's been pretty damn impressive.
Dave, I'm with you. I was just happy that pre-calculus ended in grade 12. It was not a good ride for me towards the end there with the provincial math exam. But
here's the thing about math, right? Up until grade 10, when the parabola was introduced and the line started curving, I no word of a lie, was like a 90% math student.
Yeah.
And then this nonsense came in, and I was like, what the is this? And it just, like the curve itself, plummeted in the wrong direction.
Yes, I still couldn't tell you what a logarithm is. That's for sure, Dave.
Oh, man.
But one last question. One last question for you here. SOHCAHTOA, right? Everybody remembers SOHCAHTOA.
I don't even remember that. I must have blocked out that.
But last question for you here. You're, of course, the host of the Sunday Brunch on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Who's got an invitation to the brunch tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. Well, we are going to talk some Red Wings with our friend Daniela Bruce. How about those wings, man? I think Hockey Town might be playoff town. There you go. There you go. Sergei Fedorov had his number retired earlier in the week, so that was a big deal. The Wings are looking good. Going to talk to Jesse Pierce from Minnesota about the first few weeks of Quinn Hughes. Just working it out. Probably going to get our buddy Travis Dermott on the brunch if we can get the timing worked out. He's trying to get back in. He had significant surgery in the offseason. And I think he's a guy that could be useful to teams in a depth role at this point. But he's just a fantastic guy. It's a guy you want around the room. But beyond that, we get him on. We'll talk. He actually played minor hockey with Connor McDavid back in Newmarket back in the day when they were like 10, 11 years old. So he can speak to Connor, who has been outrageous this year from a very unique perspective. So that'll be interesting. And then in a couple of weeks, I'll just throw this out here. We're going to get the former governor of the great state of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, back on the show, who is running to become North Carolina's next senator. Massive Carolina Hurricanes fan. I wouldn't have him on if he didn't know hockey. But the fact that he's kind of a big deal and knows hockey is quite cool. Had a stop and chat with Rod Brindamore, who Roy awarded the Order of the Longleaf Pine to just before he left office at the end of last year. Told Rod that Roy was coming on the show. He goes, I love that guy. So Roy Cooper, potentially your next senator from North Carolina. And if he wins, fellas, Sunday Brunch live from Capitol Hill. next year at this time. That I can tell you.
From the new White House ballroom, right?
Yeah.
Probably not the White House. Roy is a Democrat, so.
Oh, okay.
Don't think we'll be able.
We're not up to speed on our North Carolinian politics, apparently. Dave McCarthy, Sirius XM NHL Radio, NHL.com Leafs correspondent. Dave, appreciate your time, appreciate your insight. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me, boys. Always a blast being on.
Likewise.
Cheers, Dave.
Take care. There he goes, Dave McCarthy, joining us this morning. We take one last commercial break. We come back with overtime here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Stay tuned for more from Mr. Mindell, that's yours truly, and Mr. Ginsburg, the man on the right of your screen.
Call me Sir, Drew.
Sir Ginsburg.
I want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now, you might have questions like,
Do our profits benefit your community?
No.
or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre.
Boys, I've made an important life decision, and I need your support.
Oh, boy.
I've decided to get a grill.
You mean a barbecue grill for cooking? Like, that's not an important life decision, Ezzy.
No. A grill for my teeth.
A grill for your teeth? Do I even want to know why you're doing this?
It's simple, really. Every time I go to Holt Dental, I get treated so very well by Dr. John and his team that I need to keep finding additional reasons to go back. I rely on Holt Dental for all of my dental needs, and they do it all, from regular cleanings to cosmetic dentistry. Plus, they have free parking at their front door, and you know how much I love my convenient parking.
For all your dental needs, Illegal Curve recommends Holt Dental, conveniently located on Taylor Avenue near Grant Park Mall. For more information, visit them online at holtdental.ca. For over 40 years, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has been Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy. Renowned in the comedy world as a must-play venue, Rumors has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers, wedding socials, and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase show tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
This January, it's Pasta Tuesday every day at Boston Pizza. Our pastas start at just $11.99 all month long. Create your own or go gourmet for a little extra. Plus, the deal continues every Tuesday all year. Hungry for saucy savings? Hungry for BP.
Welcome to Overtime here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Drew Mindell, Ezra Ginsburg with you on this Saturday morning.
Where's Scott Oak, Drew? This is like after hours.
Well, it's similar, except his is much later at night past my bedtime, and this is only, shortly before 11 in the morning, which much more in my wheelhouse. I can't stay up those late hours. I can't do galas and, midnight hours and big parties and things of that nature, like all you youngins nowadays. But
I was gonna say, wow, you're sounding like an old man right now, Drew.
Well, I try every now and then.
I've embraced it though. I some people are like, aging. It's like, oh my God, I'm 40 or whatever. Just wait till you get to 43 and everything starts to fall apart, right?
Well, I mean, with no disrespect intended, you also don't really do much to keep everything in, good working order.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I try my best, Drew. That was harsh.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying it. I'm
fairly
admittedly, that
active.
was a little-
I'm out there with my kids. I take my kids skating.
Ezzy, you applauded yourself for climbing up a flight of stairs the other day on the post-game show.
Well, yeah, I was proud of myself.
I mean, I'm saying this needs to be a regular part of your everyday activity, and then it won't hurt as much anymore.
It's a struggle. I'm busy. I have other commitments. You know, there's lunch. I have to eat lunch, right? So that breaks up my day usually. But yes, I need to. Yeah, hopefully in 2026 I'm at the gym more. You're right, Drew. I mean, now that you've called me morbidly obese,
I'm trying to encourage you. Is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to
walking from the couch to the fridge is exercise. I don't care what anybody says.
It's true. I mean, I don't deny that it is exercise. You just need to do it more than once, and then it'll become more significant exercise as well. So I wasn't trying to be mean. It may have come out meaner than I intended to it, but it was actually a comment said with love, and I don't often share my love with you on this show. So in that sense, you should be complimented by it. I'm looking out for your well-being.
I didn't realize I was talking to Mr. Fitness over here.
Oh, I've been going to the gym. I have been going to the gym, to be perfectly honest.
You've looked nice and tip-top, Drew. You've looked good lately.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You might be full of shit, but that's okay. I'll take the compliment anyways. Quick note on Colin Miller. Scott Arniel said in the media availability this morning that Colin Miller had knee surgery, a similar procedure to what Connor Hellebuck had. So if you put that into a similar time frame, that probably means Colin Miller will be out of the Jets lineup for approximately 4 to 6 weeks. Given the similar time frame to what Hellebuck had, so don't expect Colin Miller anytime soon, is what I would suspect from the Winnipeg Jets.
Which obviously means Isaac Phillips for the time being is going to stay up with the Jets.
Isaac Phillips. I mean, of course, until Neil Pionk, he's also week to week. So the Jets are definitely banged up on the back end. So time will tell, when Isaac Phillips gets into the lineup for the Jets. You wonder if this impacts the lack of depth now on your right side. Does this impact a potential Luke Shen trade, given that he seems to be in the lineup on a regular basis, semi-regular basis now with all these injuries? I guess the domino effect of these injuries is what I'm getting at vis-a-vis a potential trade of Luke Shen, whose name has certainly been bandied about as potentially on the move outside of Winnipeg. Time will tell on that front. Time will tell on what happens between the Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs a little bit later on this evening. So join yours truly and friends. Who those friends are, I'm not entirely certain of, but friends, maybe solo. We'll see. 8:40, 8:45, 8:50 tonight for the post-game show after the Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs. It should be a doozy in downtown Winnipeg. We're looking forward to that very much tonight and talking about it later on. Want to say a big thank you to, of course, Jamie Thomas, and talk about friends, all the various friends who joined us as part of Jamie Thomas's interview. Let's see if I can remember them all. Jamie Thomas, Sarah Orleski, Ryan Leslie. We had Kelly Moore. We had Paul Edmonds. So 5 for the price of 1 in the early morning interview. If you missed any of that interview, if you missed any of Dave McCarthy's interview, the instant replay is available immediately on our YouTube channel, and the podcast will be available for download shortly thereafter. Be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on so that you join us live every time we go live here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors. Play Now, they're the title sponsor. Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Holt Dental, City Place, our friends at Wheatland Hockey, and of course, Boston Pizza as well. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Mr. Ginsburg, have fun at your gala tonight. Have fun at your night out. Have fun at your celebration.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to going out to a little party tonight with a friend. Frosty. Looking forward to it. And don't worry, Drew, I'm not going to do anything you wouldn't do.
Well, I hope that's the case because you know me, I'm Mr. Responsible through and through. Thanks to everybody for joining us. We'll see you later on tonight. It'll be fun after the Jets and the Leafs. For Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. We remind you that if it's Saturday, it's the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. See everybody later tonight for the post-game show.